hope my mom doesn't see this. Hey lovies, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about feminine hygiene. Say it with me. Water does not give you a fresh smelling coochie. That is just that on that. And water alone doesn't give you a fresh scent. There are other things that you need to do to make sure that you smell good all day, and that is what I will be discussing in today's video. So if you want to know more about that, please continue watching. If I'm looking down, it's because I've written a bunch of notes so that I can help you. These are just the basic tips that I feel are so mandatory, and if you follow these you can add on to them. However, these are just the basics. The first tip is to take a bath for your overall hygiene, your armpits, as well as your vagina. And I know this may be a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to have to use your hands. There's no one who can clean your vagina better than you because it is yours. And the best way to do it, I don't know how to demonstrate, but when I'm in the bath, I spread my legs open and use my hands to just rinse with water. Please don't use any soap down there. It can really mess with your pH balance and cause a stink. Yes, using soap does not make your vagina smell like flowers and roses. Your vagina is not supposed to smell like that, but it shouldn't have a stink either. I think that's the main point of this whole video, that your vagina won't smell like a rose garden, but it shouldn't stink. It should just be neutral, you know? Tip number 2 is to invest in baby wipes. Toilet paper for me just doesn't do it for me, especially if you're doing number 2. Nobody wants to talk about it, but honestly, when you wipe with toilet paper, what I've realized is that sometimes the feces still get stuck on your booty. You may think you've wiped everything, but next thing you know, there's a little stench. It's because toilet paper alone is very dry, and sometimes it can cause some irritations on your butthole, which is why I use baby wipes. You can use feminine wipes, but honestly, baby wipes are cheaper and you get more wipes at a more affordable price than you do with feminine wipes. Feminine wipes you get like maybe 15, and it is more expensive than getting baby wipes. These are the ones I love to use. I don't get any yeast infections. It doesn't mess with my pH balance, and for me, if it's good for a baby, it's good enough for me. So these are the Johnson's wipes that I use. After doing number 1 and number 2, girl, I use a wipe and I wipe my V as well as my butthole. Now, this can be a hit or miss depending on your body type and your pH balance. For me, it works, and I'm just recommending and telling you things that work for me, but I think you should try it out and see what happens. Because, girl, let me tell you one thing about toilet paper, especially when you need to go to the loo and you're in a public place. They usually have like 1-ply toilet paper, and that alone just doesn't cut it. And sometimes you think you're done peeing, right, and you wipe. Next thing you know, your panty has a scent. That is because sometimes after you urine, there are certain drops that still go onto your panty, and that is what causes the stench throughout the day. But using baby wipes really minimizes that smell, especially if you're doing number 2, girl. I take these everywhere. These wipes are not scented at all, which I think is also very important, that if you use scented things on your vagina, that can cause your pH balance to go off and rather make you stink than smell fresh, which is not what we want. So rather use things that have no scent at all. This will save your life. The next tip is to change your pads regularly. I have a very heavy flow, and these are the pads I use. These are the always all night pads. I use these during the day and during the night. I know my flow is that bad, but changing your pad regularly will ensure that you don't have that stench, because blood does have a scent. So changing your pad regularly and wiping with the baby wipes as you change will really minimize that smell. Yes, you may be able to smell yourself, but other people won't smell you. Trust you me. That's English. Another tip is that when I'm ovulating, which is when you get discharge, I use pantyliners. This is very important because discharge also causes a smell and a stench. You ovulate about 3 or 4 days before you start your period. So when you know that you're going to start your period, let's say in a week, then I start wearing these pantyliners just to ensure that I do not smell throughout the day. the most important tips when it comes to feminine hygiene is to buy the correct size underwear. I cannot stress this enough. Buy the correct size underwear, as well as buying the correct underwear, period. This is very important. Wearing or buying an underwear that is too small, let me show you one like this. Wearing an underwear that is too small, baby, will cause bumps and rashes around your vagina, which is something that you don't want. It is very painful, especially if you've just shaved and you're wearing tight underwear, your coochie doesn't breathe. You're gonna feel a lot of discomfort, so please buy the correct underwear. Another tip is to buy the correct material for your vagina. These elastic ones, they're really nice. They keep everything intact, but they are not the best for vaginal health. I prefer to buy these. These are the underwears that I get. People often recommend cotton underwear. I personally haven't bought it yet, but these work just as well for me. And this one is new. This one is new. I'm wearing one of these right now, and this is how it looks. Do you see this see-through material? This allows your booty and your vagina to breathe, which is very important, girl. You need to let your coochie breathe. And they only have this lining, which is also very thin, but it still allows my vagina to breathe. And this is the correct size for me. It's not too tight, because once again, buying underwear that is too tight can really cause a lot of pain, discomfort, and when you get those bumps, pus can come out of it, and that causes a smell on its own. It's very uncomfortable, and it causes scarring, which can make you feel very insecure. So in order to prevent that from happening, buy the correct size and the correct material. If you know of any cotton underwear sold in South Africa, please do comment them down below for me. I am looking for some, but for now, these I love. Okay, editing Gugu here. I almost forgot this tip, but do not sleep with underwear on. Preferably sleep nude, but if that is a bit uncomfortable for you, just don't wear any underwear to bed. Please let your vagina breathe. That is the best way to get a fresh smelling vagina. Let her breathe. And lastly, try wearing clothes that are more open and more flowy, because wearing jeans, especially if you're at home, there's no reason to be wearing tight, skinny jeans. Please wear loose clothing that allows your vagina to breathe. And for your pajamas, wear things that are flowy and that allow your vagina to breathe as well. Just moral of the story, wear clothing that is loose, especially if you're going to be at home, you know you're not going out, and do not wear any underwear to bed. Change your underwears regularly. This is very important, to have like a variety of underwears and not repeat the same one every single day, or every week at least. Change your underwear, because underwear, as you can see, something like this can wear out very easily and very quickly, and that makes it lose its quality. So having a variety of underwear that you can change daily, every 2 or 3 days, only then can you repeat the same underwear, because that can also cause a stinge and build up because you're repeating the same one consistently. The next tip is avoid damp clothing. What I've realized is that after exercising or swimming, I need to take a shower or a bath immediately, because that moisture and your vagina causes a stench. So make sure that if you're going to be doing sports that day, you come back home and you take a shower, because that will prevent your odor from building up. Another tip I have, which may be controversial, but honestly this is what I've observed with my vagina, is that I need to shave regularly. Now, I have very sensitive skin, so I do not use razors very often. If anything, I will just trim my hairs, or my pubic hairs, very often. I use a scissor for that. I don't know if other people do this, but my mom told me at a very young age that because I have sensitive skin and I'm sensitive to, hair removal creams and razors, I use a scissor and just trim it. Girl, if your pubic hair has a little afro, I'm not saying you need to go completely bald. I'm also not bald. However, having a lot of hair in your pubic or areas can cause a lot of buildup, because then your sweat latches onto it. Any moisture, any water will just stay in those areas, and that can cause a stink to build up. So make sure that you shave regularly or trim. Baby, there should be no afros, no ponytails, no box braids growing from your pubic areas. Please shave. regularly. Speaking of shaving, exfoliate your pubic areas before you shave as well. The same thing you do to your body when you shave is the same thing you must do to your vagina. You can make a homemade scrub using some sugar and honey. Exfoliate your pubic area and then apply this lotion. Well, rinse it off and then you apply this lotion and shave in the direction that your hair is growing. Shaving in the opposite direction will cause razor bumps or ingrown hairs, and that is so painful. You don't want that. I don't use a razor consistently because I'm very sensitive to them, but maybe once or twice a month, I will shave using a razor. This is the one I currently have. One of the best tips I can give you is to observe your body. Observe the color of your urine, observe the color of your discharge, and honestly, invest in a gynecologist. That is the best thing. I think from a young age, we're not really taught that much about vaginal health. I don't know why, but there's just this belief that when you want to learn more about your body, you're doing it in preparation for sex or for a boy, which I think is a huge misconception. Learning more about your body is so that we feel more comfortable and more confident in who we are. I don't think it has anything to do with sex. If you're doing this for a boy, girl, that's you, to each their own. But honestly, learning more about your body is so empowering, especially if you're somebody who has dealt with a lot of stinking or scents. It is very uncomfortable and can feel quite embarrassing, but I'm telling you now, there's nothing to be ashamed of. This is a safe space, and if nobody taught you, at least you'll be learning something from this video today, period. That is all we have for the vagina. Moving on to the armpits. Now, armpits for me are a very big deal. Like, somebody with smelly armpits for me is something I cannot tolerate, honestly, but I do understand that not everybody is as informed on their hygiene, and that is why, girl, I'm making this video. It's 2022. Nobody's stressing about no musty, dusty, crusty, stinky armpits. For my armpit hygiene, I do shave as well. Now for my armpits, girl, there's no way I can use a scissor. My hair doesn't grow that much, so I use a razor as well as this Dove baby soap. I don't shave as often because my hair doesn't grow very quickly, especially my armpits, so I probably shave like every 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks, or after 10 days or so, but it's not very often. And I exfoliate my armpits and then I rinse that off, apply this, and then I shave in the direction that my hair grows once again. One thing about me, this is kind of embarrassing, but I used to get a lot of ingrown hairs and bumps to the point where like pus would come out of my armpits, and that is so painful, simply because I was not shaving in the direction that my hair grows. If you're not big on shaving your armpits, that is a personal thing, but for me, I think that having hair causes the buildup and sweat to stick to your armpit hairs, which can cause that smell and that stench. I'm not saying if you have hair, girl, that could, you know, that is why you stink, but most of the time for me, that has been the main cause, is that with hair and then you add the moisture, the sweat, the dampness, that can really cause a stink. Hence why I prefer to be bald by my armpits. I don't want no hair. After shaving, of course, you will need deodorant. I use the Dove Sensitive Roll-On. I also use this Dove Sensitive Spray. I use the sensitive ones because I have very sensitive skin as well as my armpits, and I do get a lot of bumps or ingrown hairs when I do not use sensitive skin friendly products, and these for me are a must. These are so gentle on the skin, so if you're someone like me, I truly recommend these, and they keep me fresh throughout the day. Now, as I said, I do sweat a lot, but these, girl, these are my fighters. Despite the sweat, I still smell fresh at the end of the day, and this is long-lasting freshness. I don't like having scents in my armpits, especially my sensitive areas, because that can cause a lot of rashes and bumps to form, which can promote that stink or that smell to appear. So take care of your armpits and make sure that they accommodate your skin type, which for me, these are a must-have. This is another one of my favorites. My mom put me onto this spray. I love it. It is a fresh smell and it also lasts throughout the day. I love this. So if you're someone who sweats excessively, I would recommend getting Mitchum's, because girl, that is drying superpower. So if you have very sweaty armpits, girl, get the midterms. It is expensive, but it is worth the investment. If you cannot afford deodorant, using a bar of soap as your deodorant actually helps. Trust me, I know it sounds a bit weird, a bit awkward. I've tried it before, but I couldn't do it consistently because the bar of soap was too harsh for my skin and I ended up getting bumps. However, my armpits did not stink. I will show the bars of soap on the screen so that you can know which ones to purchase and which ones work. There is the Sunlight bar soap and the pure glycerine soap, which for me are perfect deodorants. They do not cause any odor. Like throughout the day you'll be fine, there will be no smell. Trust you me, you will smell fresh throughout the day at an affordable price. If you know that you're someone who sweats excessively and the deodorant is not helping, you will have to carry around a damp cloth. I prefer to take the damp cloth and put it in a little plastic sealable wrap so that throughout the day you can freshen up and just pat dry your armpits. This will not remove the deodorant or the soap that you have put on your armpits. It's going to last the whole day, but also in order to maintain that freshness, you'll just have to regularly freshen up. Go to the bathroom, girl, take your cloth, pat, rinse it out, package it back, and you'll be good to go. So those were the main tips that I have for feminine hygiene regarding your vagina as well as your armpits, but these are a couple of just extra additional tips that I think would be useful. The first tip is to drink water. Yes, water alone won't give you a fresh smelling vagina, but it will maintain and balance your pH balance, which is very important for feminine hygiene and your overall health, girl. Drink some water, please. And I don't know how effective pineapple juice or cranberry juice is for your vagina. Honestly, I'm not really experienced in that department. I don't know if you're gonna taste better or smell good. All I know is that water has never let me down. And for me, that's good enough. But if you want to know more about pineapple juice, cranberry, girl, you can watch videos on it. This is just for your overall hygiene. Invest in probiotics and vitamins. This will also help with your overall health and make sure that you maintain a healthy neutral pH balance. This also goes into the next tip, which is eat healthier. I'm not saying, girl, nah, you should be vegan, eat salads every single day, but you need to make sure that what you put into your body is healthy and good for you, because that affects your pH balance. And girl, if you're not eating your fruits, your vegetables, that can really throw off your pH balance, which causes the stench and that stinking smell. Which also relates to your diet. Drinking a lot of fizzy drinks can really mess up your pH balance, and that is why sometimes your urine may come out orange, which if it's orange or yellow, you need to be concerned. Drink a lot more water and observe the color of your urine, Drink a lot of water and observe the color of your urine, which will tell you if your pH balance is intact or if it's way off. The body is such a beautiful thing. Who knew that your urine could tell you about what is happening internally? Like, that is so cool. Another tip is to invest in a gynecologist. Honestly, I think the earlier the better. This has nothing to do with intimacy, but it is very important that if you're having some problems, let's say you're having a rash down there, which is something that is not very common, or your discharge is coming out very yellow, it's painful, when you pee it burns, you will need to go see a gynecologist, because those are the people who are more experienced in all kinds of vaginal health cases, and they can teach you more about feminine hygiene and the things that work for you. Watching YouTube videos is not going to give you everything that you need. You need a gynecologist who is an expert at what they do and what they know. So please, these tips are not gonna make you stop going to the gynecologist. You need to see a gynecologist, period. Whether your vagina is healthy or whether you're having some problems, invest in a gynecologist. If you would like a more in-depth video on my feminine hygiene routine, please do comment down below, and I hope these tips were really helpful. I remember being a young girl and I could smell myself and I didn't really understand why, and I didn't feel comfortable talking to my mom about it, so I kind of had to go through a lot of trial and error, and finally I found something that works for me, and I truly hope that it works for you. But as I said, do not run away from the gynecologist. period. I love you. God loves you so much more. Stay beautiful, stay blessed, period. See you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and give this video a big thumbs up if you learned something new. If you'd like to share with me some more tips and tricks that you have for feminine hygiene, please don't be afraid to comment down below. I love learning and experiencing new things, so I would really appreciate it. I love you so much. Bye.